Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming today to 1 Million Cups. It's a good group today. We have AkitaBox presenting. Luke will be talking to you in a moment. As usual, we'd like to thank Field 59 for coming and recording. They're here every Wednesday doing live streaming for us, which is so fantastic. And because of that, we have recordings available on YouTube of each presentation, so you can always check it out later if you miss it. Also today, and for the entire month of December, our sponsor is Earthling Interactive. And Amanda is here from them. When we go around and do introductions, she'll say a couple words about that company. Let's see, I think that's everything. I'll pass the mic around. You'll notice it isn't amplifying sound, but we need it to pick up everything for the live stream. So please use it for intros and when we ask questions at the end of the presentation. All right, I'm going to start with Drew here.
Hi, I'm Drew Corson. I'm an attorney at Knight & Boucher. I specialize in working with startups and securities law.
My name's Spencer Fricke, and I'm a UW student here.
Steve Claude, co-founder of 32 Auctions, a platform for hosting and managing silent auctions.
Joey Frayne, entrepreneurship and innovation team at WDC.
Agnes Rona, consultant with Export Abroad.
Varun Bhargava with Retail Next.
I'm Dan Anderson with Baker Tilly.
Amanda Schwegler with Earthling Interactive. We're a local web application and mobile development shop here in Madison. We have about 35 people, and we work with companies all the way from product development through launch and maintaining your application in the end.
My name's Ed Graves. I'm a business and technology librarian here at the library.
Kurt Peterson, co-founder of 32 Auctions.
Paul Temple, Alpha Tech Council.
Jake Smith, associate at Generator.
Hi, my name is Luke. I will be speaking more shortly, but I'm with AkitaBox.
My name is Todd Hoffmaster. I'm CEO of AkitaBox as well.
Molly Siegel, Strategic Account Manager of Talvant. We're a business intelligence consulting company here in Madison.
Steve Deinhardt, MoldAPitch.com.
Great, thank you so much. So we'll turn it over to Luke now. He'll go through his presentation and then we'll have a question and answer time. All right.
Alrighty.
Doing good. All right. Hi, guys. Thank you for joining us today. I actually got to stand over here because I got to press the button. My name is Luke Perkerwicz, again with AkitaBox, and AkitaBox is a location-based software for collecting, sharing, and analyzing building information. So since we've actively begun selling the product about 6 months ago, we have nearly $7,000 in monthly recurring revenue. That's a 62% month-over-month average growth rate for the past 6 months. So we're operating in the real estate industry. We're tracking over 315 buildings in our software today, with over 35,000 documents and 16,000 assets. So to give you a little bit of an idea of the real estate market, there's a tremendous opportunity for disruption. It's the largest industry in the United States. Starting out, we are focused on selling to property managers, though, that manage between 500 and 8,000 units, and facility managers in the healthcare and education space that we reach through our channel partners. So we're based here in Madison, Wisconsin, actually a spin-out of Findorf Construction, which is a $500 million general contractor. We know and understand this industry well, and through a lot of our experience consulting around the country, we noticed a common theme in the built environment. Building owners and managers know and understand that preventative maintenance on the different assets and equipment in their building will extend their longevity and life cycle by up to 25%. But a lot of times they also know that they want to decrease the cost of maintenance and replacement. They don't necessarily know how many assets are in their building, where they're located, or what they need to do to extend that maintenance longevity. And the reason being is the information they need for maintaining those assets is oftentimes in a cluttered plan room in their basement. Or they're digging through a deep, complicated folder structure they collected from their contractor at the end of construction. Or maybe they're relying on this guy named Bob that lives in the basement or boiler room and has all this information in his head. And today, the average age of a facility manager is 49 years old. When these people retire, they bring a tremendous amount of knowledge and information with them. We're looking for different ways to solve this problem in the industry, and when we couldn't find one, we created AkitaBox. This is a simple location-based software for collecting, sharing, and analyzing information on a building. Rather than using a file folder structure or lines on an Excel spreadsheet to store data, we use specific locations. So it makes it easy for someone. You can click on a building, access information behind it, and locationally see all of the different assets and equipment in a building. Now when I say an asset, think of a boiler or maybe an air handling unit, anything that's crucial towards operating that building. You can access the date that piece of equipment was installed. You can understand when the warranties are expiring on it, access the operations manual to troubleshoot different problems on that piece of equipment, and collect any sort of relevant financial information on it. On top of that, we make it very easy for facility maintenance technicians or contractors to access information on these assets. You can place a QR code on them, scan it with a smartphone or tablet, access all of that information from the field. So some of our traction right now, we are currently piloting AkitaBox with 27 different customers around the country. UW Health is actively using AkitaBox at the New American Center. They're tracking over 8,000 assets using QR codes in AkitaBox. Airmark is a very large third-party facility management company. They're working at Baylor University, managing over 6.5 million square feet using AkitaBox. And I'll dive into that actually a little bit more later here. Colliers International is a $1.9 billion real estate company, and Julius Mutual and Assurant are both insurance companies. We're starting to develop relationships with them right now as channel partners. So our business strategy is very simple. You know, they're using people like those customers there as channel partners to reach the end consumer of building managers. We sell AkitaBox. So the common theme among these channel partners, third-party facility managers, insurance companies, or third-party service providers, is they're coming into buildings. They need to gather information and understand what assets are in those buildings to maintain them, do capital planning or maintenance. So again, this is kind of that workflow. Right now, their third-party facility manager like Airmark comes into Baylor University because Baylor has hired them to manage those buildings. They need to understand what they actually need to be maintaining in those buildings, where those assets and equipment are located, and what they need to do to them. So they use AkitaBox to collect that type of information and set up maintenance, planning, schedules, and repairs. Right now, the traditional way of doing things is to go out in the field with a clipboard to collect that information. Excel spreadsheets are very commonplace, or file folder structures. The problem with a lot of these systems is information becomes exponential and difficult to track over time, so you end up with just a pile of information that doesn't mean much. And then once again, your buddy Bob makes an appearance and people rely on memory and experience to find things. At the enterprise level, very large buildings, you'll encounter systems like Oracle, TMA systems, IBM Maximo, very complicated and expensive systems that you need to be an incredibly large building to even afford. At that, they're incredibly complicated, so a lot of the capabilities of these systems don't get used. Now, AkitaBox falls between these by making it simple to collect all of this information using a location-based platform. The unique thing about AkitaBox is rather than just collecting it and using it for one purpose, you can set up different maintenance schedules, plans for replacement, or share and retain those information with different contractors that are coming in and leaving in a building, rather than having a single person who's collecting that information and using it for themselves. And that's really how we win in this marketplace, by being that collaborative platform that over time allows you to continuously use this information. At the end of the day, one of the biggest things that we help people do is save expenditures in building management by helping them predict and prevent problems rather than reacting and repairing to a lot of the issues in the built environment. So we're based here in Madison, Wisconsin. Again, my name is Luke Perkerwicz. At this time, I think it would be good to just open it up for questions and see kind of where things are at with people. Otherwise, I do have some more appendix slides we can dive into a little bit more to let you know more about our company.
Great, thanks, Luke. If anyone has a question, just raise your hand and I'll bring you a microphone.
Luke, how do you interact with Bob? How do you download the information that's in his head into your system?
Yep, absolutely. So one of the things we look at is when people are going into buildings and doing those crucial periods of condition assessment. So typically it's at a yearly basis. Someone's actually going through a facility, locating each of their individual assets and gathering information on it. So that's one of the ways that we gather that general platform of information. Some of the things we've done in the past when someone's doing more of a succession planning type thing is setting Bob up basically with an intern or setting up that plan initially. Once you have that basic platform for collecting information, it makes it much easier to set up a succession plan rather than having nothing or an Excel spreadsheet or turning over a file folder structure to your new facility manager. So it is a big problem. There is a people concern there. At the end of the day, a lot of times the biggest thing with Bob is setting up the plan for the next person to come in.
What does your revenue model look like, and is it extra to provide these services, these like preventative services, or is that all included in it?
Yeah, so at our core, we're a software company. A lot of those additional service type things would be through partner companies that we work with. Our revenue model is based on the number of buildings people are currently tracking using AkitaBox. Now, our current revenue per customer is about $240 per month. And that's on a pilot basis. So one of the things that we know and understand is as we expand our portfolio of buildings that we're tracking with those customers, that number will go up. The other thing that we're doing as far as a revenue standpoint is concerned, listening to our customers regularly, a lot of them are asking for different analytical type components with that information. So we've got a good system for collecting it, but once you have it, it's nice to be able to understand what you can do with it. So, for example, if there's a piece of equipment in a building that you're touching 12 times a month, you may know that replacing that piece of equipment is more cost effective than sending your maintenance guy out there every week to go and fix a problem with it.
Can you say a little bit more about your sales approach?
Yeah, definitely. So right now we're really focused on developing channel partners that can go out into the field and sell for us. The big thing as a smaller company, we're 5 people. It's tough to develop a sales force that's large enough to go to every building and knock on doors and make those sales, and it's a long sales cycle that way. By working with someone who's like an insurance provider, for example, who touches a lot of different buildings, needs to gather information on it to understand what their risk profile is for insuring those buildings, we can give them a system to collect that information, and at the same time they can provide value back to the owner in a maintenance management system that's all set up for them. So that's a market that we're working on developing right now with a couple different pilot customers. Third-party facility management companies like Airmark, there are a lot of different ones out there. A lot of buildings contract out their facility management, and those guys will come in and need to gather information and understand what they're actually managing in those buildings. So we give AkitaBox to them as a tool for gathering that information, and then they can use it continuously through the life cycle. And again, they touch a lot of different buildings. The third vertical I talked about is third-party service providers. One of the more common companies you'll see today is energy auditing type companies. They'll come in and assess different types of building equipment and offer recommendations to an owner to improve building efficiency. And one of the things that they're challenged with right now is a simple way to collect that information off the bat. So what we're looking at them to do is gather that information and then provide it back to the owners for a maintenance management type system. We're starting to pilot that with 2 different customers right now, and the thing is, as a younger company, we're starting to learn a lot of these things with our customers and how that transition point will actually work. But by selling to these channel partners, it gives us a great opportunity to touch a lot of different facilities.
I have a question about your location-based technology that you mentioned. Can you explain more about how that works?
Yeah, it's very basic. In a sense, there's an overlaid map. We use Google Maps to actually attach a building icon to. And then within that building, based on the floor plans stored in the building, we can place different objects on top of it. So typically it's basically Google Maps overlaid with data. And then within that object on the Google Maps, click on it. Within that you can have floor plans. They're typically PDFs, JPEGs, and you can overlay data on that again too. So one of the things, and again this is getting into the future, more high-text type stuff, RFID tags are a possibility walking through a facility so you can actually know in real time where you're at, and then leveraging GPS type systems. So we don't have that type of capability built in yet, but that's a big movement in smart buildings and location-based information.
Are you raising money right now, or what's your business model look like?
Yep. Right now we are actively on the road raising money. So, I mean, if I get into the details, we're raising $500,000, which is going well. It's a lot of fun and a lot of education for ourselves, as we haven't done this before, but it's a good time.
Any other questions?
Can you tell me a little bit more about your respective backgrounds in building management and construction?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have more of a sales background, sales and business background, than construction background. Todd Hoffmaster, I'll let him talk a little bit about his background, but met him working as a facility technology consultant before spinning out of Findorf. And basically what we'd do is go around the country and offer recommendations in the built environment for improving information management. So it was something that we did for a long time. Todd has more of a background in construction than the facility operations side.
Yeah, so I I spent over 12 years really in this realm in technology implementation for construction. Started off as an architect, moved to construction. My background, implemented over $2 billion worth of technology in the built world, which is exciting, and seeing the opportunity that exists out there for integrating different technologies, such as AkitaBox, is exponential. The uniqueness that we have with our team, we have a team of 5. Our CTO, Robbie, comes from a nuclear engineering background. He actually helped organize a very basic Excel sheet, believe it or not, on one of the largest nuclear power plants in the country, to help organize and organize all the materials and equipment on that nuclear power plant. So he's got experience in this space as well. Our other 2 software developers have been working with us for well over a year. Prior to the spin out, like Luke mentioned. So we've got an entire team already in place, a management team already in place, and we're excited about that. So we do know this space very, very well. The team, like Luke mentioned, is really what sets us apart in this type of industry, because we've been together for this long. We're moving things forward. We have industry experience. We've been doing this for quite some time, and we've got the network to do it. So pretty exciting.
Are you focusing your efforts locally on new customers, or is it kind of a global outreach thing? Also, what are the biggest challenges you're facing right now, and what can we as a community do to help?
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of our customers are local. One of the nice things about real estate or buildings in general is there's a lot of them, and it's helpful to really live with our customers at the early stages to understand their problems and focus on our product development around that. We also do have customers down in Texas, though, and on the East Coast that we've gathered through our channel partners. So that is useful to seeing different struggles in different facilities, because obviously in the Midwest we have different problems with winter and stuff in buildings that down south you don't see as much. So that has been useful. In general, a lot of our new development has been in the Midwest, though. As a community, to help out, one thing, I guess, if you know anyone that works with Oakbrook Corporation or Mandel Group, those are 2 companies that we're actively looking for introductions to. We know a couple of people there, but actively pursuing them. The other thing, if you know other property managers that would love to provide feedback to us, at the same time it's incredibly valuable as we're developing our product to learn more about people's issues that they're experiencing. And on that, I don't know, Todd, if you had another thing to ask or add on to that.
Since we're continuing to develop our software and really our implementation, it's those types of connections that will really help us propel us forward in providing the right tool for the right purpose for the right people. And that is really, like Luke mentioned, that property management side, as well as the facility side, in healthcare and education. So if you know anybody in those types of industries that deal with the issues on types of buildings, we'd love to talk to you.
So it sounds like you're growing pretty quickly on the operations side, but do you have plans for the human capital growth? I mean, are you planning on hiring people anytime soon, or what types of people would you be looking to hire?
Yeah, software developers are always great. I don't know if I could give a specific timeline there. A lot of that depends on our fundraising efforts as well too. The other person that we'd actively be hiring, and we actually have this person lined up already, would be an account executive, account manager type person. We just hired on an intern to help out with implementation. That's one of the biggest things for us. So we have 27 different pilot customers, but organizing, managing those relationships, and then implementing our software with them at the early stages is, some of it's more human efforts than making up for some of the areas in the software too. So that's an area that we may be expanding more in the future, depending on how these implementations go.
Great, thanks. Any other questions? What's the story behind the name?
Any dog lovers out there? Yeah. So an Akita is actually a dog. We worked with a marketing agency to come up with a name. For those people that aren't familiar with Akita, Akita is a Japanese guard dog. Box is a place you can put things when you combine them. It's a nice trademarkable, cute name, and got a pretty good logo out of the deal too. So.
That gentleman on the pictures did you say his name was Bob?
We like to call him Bob.
Oh. I just wondered if he was a highly paid actor or
he's made an appearance. But yeah, we run into people like Bob a lot, as you may imagine, and it's interesting. There's a lot of different stories that we could go into with those people just being with the facility since the day it's been built, and they've never written anything down or managed anything besides what's in their head. And for the building owner, a lot of times they may not know that, and they realize it the day that Bob leaves and things start breaking and problems start happening. So that is a human problem that can be difficult to solve, and the easiest way to get around that is make it easy to collect, store, and share information with different people. And that's one of the big reasons why our product has been sticky with a group like Airmark. They have a lot of turnover in their facilities, and it's important to have a simple way to tell people where things are located and what they have. And a map is a very easy way to do that.
Well, I think if there are no other questions, we have a little time. Feel free to come up and talk to Luke or Todd. Thank you very much to both of you, AkitaBox. And thank you to everyone for coming out. Thanks again to Earthling Interactive for sponsoring this month. And yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. We do have some handouts if you're interested, or business cards as well, too. So.